Only Murders in the Building was created by John Hoffman and Steve Martin, who also stars in the show alongside Martin Short and Selena Gomez as a trio of true crime podcast fanatics who come together to try and solve a mystery of their own. Before I get into the review, a large majority of people who watch these videos are not subscribed, so if you fall into that majority, and I'm assuming you do, please subscribe. Also, consider dropping a like on this video. It only takes a second and it makes a massive difference. As one can expect, anything from the mind of Steve Martin is going to deliver on the comedic front, and this series is no different. From the first episode to the very last, it delivers on an entertainment and comedic level. They do a great job of laughing with the obsession with true crime content nowadays, rather than laughing at it. And they don't rely on that awful trope during dramatic moments where some shows or movies will cut the tension with a joke immediately. If you're a longtime viewer of mine, you'll know that that is my least favorite thing in comedy. But I'm very glad to say that Only Murders lets their dramatic moments breathe. And they aren't afraid to get weird and artsy at times. There's a scene in the first episode that's like a surrealistic metaphor, and it was absolutely tasty. Speaking of the artistic side of this show, I also cannot forget to mention the absolutely immaculate set and costume design. I watched this show with my mother, and she constantly talked about how much she loved how beautiful the building and the city looked throughout this show. And fits were thrown. Not a single swagless homie in sight. Now let's talk about the homies in depth. Everyone did a phenomenal job in this series. Steve Martin and Martin Short are obviously legends and do what legends do. But Selena Gomez did not get carried by them by any means. She plays more of a dry character bouncing off of the flamboyant Martin Short and stern yet goofy Steve Martin. And by dry, I don't mean she wasn't funny. I mean that her sense of humor was more on the dry side. And it's a perfect fit. Their chemistry and character dynamics really made me care about these people. And that is, of course, a very important aspect in any crime-related show, whether it be comedic or not. The handling of said crime and mystery was done well. I was wrong with essentially all my guesses leading up to the final episode. There's twists and turns, and the fact that it's a comedy really allows for creative and entertaining ways for the information to be given to us as viewers. I, for one, love when modern content isn't afraid of bracing any silliness or camp. I mean, sometimes you just want something that's really fun to watch. I will say though, at times, this show did veer a little too far into the cartoonish realm, but I'll get into that more in the spoiler section after the rating. Overall, I highly recommend this show. It's a great binge watch, I'd imagine. I enjoyed the weekly releases as they were coming out, and its rating is a 9 out of 10. Going forward, I will be discussing spoilers. You have been warned, so if you haven't watched the show, be sure to go and do so and come back. So, let's talk about Jan. If anyone guessed her as the killer, please let me know in the comments when you realized it. I didn't realize it until the very end of episode 9, but I will say I knew it before they realized that toy was actually a bassoon cleaner. But before then, I was so off. At a certain point, I was worried it was gonna end up being Mabel. Remember that weird portion at the beginning of the show when she's talking about how she's dreamt about like killing a man? I was worried they were gonna do that as like a swerve at the end, but I'm very glad to say that the swerve came from another angle. However, this is where I found the show to get a little too cartoonish. After the reveal, Jan kinda turns into a mustache twirling villain, and honestly, I did find it a bit abrupt and jarring. I will give them credit though for attempting to make it feel natural with her being a bit eccentric through the entire show, especially with her relationship with Charles. but it was still a little too much cheese for me. I can't help but feel like it maybe would have been more effective for me if she had been a bit more remorseful or sad that she's gone down this road because she's so happy with Charles. But who knows? Maybe that would have been a completely trash ending. I'm no writer. In saying that, I want to give the writers and directors, because there was a lot of directors, a lot of credit for nailing things thematically. I loved how each character was struggling with something at the beginning of the show, and in some way they all seemed to be lacking something. And they used the podcasts that they were making, as well as the podcast that they were fans of, in order to escape from those feelings. And through that, they made friends and were even able to build their own little community. It grounded the characters in a very relatable way, and I mean, hey, that's what we do in the film/TV fandom community, right? We escape by talking about the content that we love. And if you haven't guessed it, by the end of this video, Only Murders in the Building absolutely falls under the umbrella of content that I loved. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe and stay sweaty, my friends. I'll see you again next time.